pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roll, planet.
Water towers fly!
Flight downside, speed off. Speed off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.
All right, y'all. You know the drill. I'm watching to see if the little audio level is going to jump or not, just to make sure it's there. And it looks like it's jumping. So it should be time for NSF Live today. Let us know if you can hear and see us. You should have 3 cameras here over on the sides of me. You should be able to hear me. We'll introduce the host here as well. 5x5 in chat is what I like to see over there. It's always like, I don't know, is this thing on? Is it working today? Can we do this stream? I appreciate y'all understanding. It's like our tradition around here at NASASpaceflight. We're not sure that anything's going to work until you confirm that it's working. So we appreciate that. Like I said, it's time for another NASA Spaceflight Live. We do these just about every Saturday, unless there's something else going on, like a launch or something that overrides it. But we are here to do a live show. It's almost like our live talk show that we do once a week to answer questions about what happened during the week. We know we do all sorts of different live shows over the course of the week, but we don't always get to answer every single question that comes through. And sometimes the question isn't about the topic, and you're asking about Starship, and it's a Starlink launch, and it's all very confusing. But here we are today on Saturday. We got an hour and a half to talk about what's going on or what's been going on and stuff like that. I've got some friends here with me today, and we will start off for the first time on NSF Live, Steve Marr. How's it going, Steve?
Good. Thank you for having me.
All right. Steve is one of the, one of the photographers that we hear about. One of the many. We hear your name all the time. It's like, oh, yeah, Steve's here too. When Chris and Thomas are on the ITL Causeway or the press site for launches, and you're there a lot taking still photography and streaks and stuff like that, right?
Right. Yeah. I'm usually about 10, 20 feet away, and he's like, hey, Steven's here. And I'm like, just waving. Nobody hears me. I sometimes shout. I don't know. Maybe they can hear me very faintly. Right. Yeah, exactly.
And let us know there, y'all. Can y'all hear Steve okay? Let me know if you're hearing Steve correctly. And then also today we've got Jack Beyer. He's on this side right here. Jack, how you doing? You make it back home? I don't think we're getting Jack right now. Yeah, Jack, I don't think we're getting you, but I can reorganize that. Stand by, just one second.
I do hear Jack, if that means anything.
Yeah, just one second. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to do this right here. And then we're going to do this. And Jack, go ahead and say hi one more time. Let's see if it works.
Hi one more time. Let's see if it works.
So y'all should have heard Jack that time. Correct me if I'm wrong.
But yes, to answer your question, Dus, assuming I can be heard at the moment, yes, I got home early this morning. Very glad to be home. And when we are done with the broadcast, I am going to order my favorite cheesesteak from my favorite cheesesteak place. That's going to be nice.
Favorite cheese steak? You didn't say cheese stick, right?
Yeah, no, cheesesteak.
Cheese steak. Gotcha. All right. So now Jack should be good to go as well, y'all. And thank you again for your understanding. We had a little bit of an audio hiccup, it looks like, but now you can hear Jack 5x5. So what we're going to be doing here today is stepping through what's been happening this week. Of course, big news with the SN9 flight that happened, and we'll be talking a lot about that, probably half the show or something. But some other things going on as well. The Inspiration4 mission that was announced. I'm going to stall while I look at this and see what else I'm supposed to say. Oh yeah, it's the anniversary of the Falcon Heavy demo as well.
Today, actually right about now, right?
That's a thing. Yeah. So we'll talk about that some. The Starlink launch that happened, we got some photos from that. Photography talk, because both of these guys are photographers that do have a lot of experience doing launch photography, so we can have some photography related discussion. Right?
Oh yeah. On that note, Steven, how about cameras? What do you think about that? How about cameras, huh?
I dig them.
Cameras? I like cameras. Anyways, folks, that's going to be the live show for today, sort of hanging out, talking about various stuff. What we're doing when we do these live shows, we do try to do as much live Q&A as possible. And then also we get super chats that we read out too. So if you've got a question for us, tag us in chat at NASASpaceflight. The cool software that Michael has written, we'll grab that and we'll bring some of those questions in. It helps if it's relevant. So if we're talking about Starship and you ask a question about I don't know, not Starship, something that's not Starship related. We may save that for later. So if we're talking about Starship, you have questions about Starship, that's the best time to put those in. Same thing with the super chats. If you've got a question, you're putting in a super chat or something like that, and we're talking about Starship and you have something, oh, well, let's talk about SLS. We may hold on to that until we go over to some other topic. So just be patient. We appreciate y'all hanging out. We'll try to get to as many of the questions as we can. And it's literally just like hanging out on a couch talking about cool space stuff that happened this week for our weekly show. So to start off here, Rough Riders, appreciate the super chat over there saying Jack made it home. Did the fly follow you home, Jack?
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, there was a fly in my hotel room for like 2 weeks straight that I could not eradicate and could not get to leave. No, it didn't follow me home. Thank
It
God.
did
I
not
probably
follow you
would have.
home.
I probably would have gone insane on the drive, anyways.
It's like in the Land Rover, like ninja on the back of the seat rest or something.
And how surprised would it be when it gets to the Pacific coast? It's
Yeah, it's
like,
like,
wait
what
a
is
minute.
this?
I was on the Gulf of Mexico. Now I'm looking at the Pacific.
This water's all cold.
Yeah.
Hey, Kenny Alexander as well. This is actually a question about SN9. So we'll circle back to your question here in just a second, Kenny. I'm going to hold on to that one. And another one from Vendis Nye as well. 100 Canadian dollars there, asking about damage. Let's do the introduction for SN9, and I'm going to keep both of those in the queue, and then we'll circle back and we'll answer those two questions specifically. So we know that Starship SN9 launched. Jack, I think you were there for it, right?
No, I left early. I was like,
don't
man,
know.
I don't like starships. Yeah, that was
Like,
awesome.
I don't know the answer to this question. I'm like, wasn't Jack there? I'm not sure. So I'm going to play that. Tell us about what it was like to be there at SN9, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, when I checked out of the hotel, the receptionist lady was like, "You've been here 27 days." Like, she said it very matter of factly. She's like, "It's been 27 days." I was like, "Tell me about it." So yeah, SN9 was a bit of a slog, but it launched, as you can see, and it was amazing, just like SN8 was. Yeah, it was quite a sight. It was really I don't know if they over rotated or if they rotated the right amount and then they weren't able to correct back, but yeah, it was an outstanding launch, and I just love seeing these like medium altitude Starship tests where they just take off insanely slowly. And
Yeah.
it just doesn't no rocket actually behaves that way in real life except for this one, and it's otherworldly to witness with your own two eyes.
Yeah, one of the things that really struck me is like here, we see a Falcon 9 or an Atlas 5 launch, and we get that rumble, and everybody loves the rumble, but you only get it for a minute, 2 minutes. But you guys are listening to this for how long did the flight go on? Like six minutes?
Yeah.
It was like 6.5 or 7 or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's
And
just got to be nuts.
it's long enough where it's like you're looking at your watch. You're like, all right, I'm gonna get a snack. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get some munchies.
Yeah.
But no, it's insane how long these flights last, and I'm wondering what they're going to look like going forward when we are in the more of a high altitude or orbital type regimes. Will they still behave like this, or are we in a very, very small window of time right now where this is the sort of behavior that we're seeing? Because it's really unusual, like you said.
Yeah. Really quickly, what's on the screen right now? There are some YouTube comments about this, and I'm going to step it back just a second here because it's shaking like crazy. But this isn't the type of shake like, oh, I can't hold the tripod steady or anything like that. On Mary's video there, the shaking is because she's getting hit by the sound, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I can
intense.
imagine it's a really long lens, and any kind of movement is gonna be magnified.
Yeah. So you see this, and you got to realize we're not playing the sound for this right now because you wouldn't be able to hear what we were saying. But even the robotic camera that was 1.5 miles away is getting shaken like crazy. I can guarantee you there was no one there touching the robotic camera at all, and the robotic camera is like shaking like this. So, Jack, this is crazy footage. This is your footage because you could see the two Raptors there, right?
To be honest, I haven't
Second.
even gone back and watched what I shot.
Right there.
No,
You
I'm
can see-
I'm serious.
I saw it in person. Why do I need to watch a video?
No, exact opposite actually. It's because if you want me to be honest and like a little bit of inside baseball, I'm not proud of the work that I did.
Jeez.
I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure if I went back and watched it right now, separated from my feelings of launch day, I would probably be pleased with it. Like I had no idea I got the two Raptors, Raptor shutting down. I just sort of edited the clip really quick and uploaded it to Brady so he could include it in the video. But
Yeah.
I had serious technical difficulties during launch, so I was not particularly eager to go back and look at my footage. But yeah, look at that. That's I mean, you can clearly see 2 Raptors there. Look
There's
at 'em
2
go.
Raptors there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
So
what you mean, Jack. I've had days like that myself, and then everybody else is like, "Oh, that's great! Oh, bravo! You did a great job!" And I'm like, "It's not the picture I had in my head."
yeah.
That's the game we're always playing, right? The
Yeah.
tricky balance of what we're trying to do is, it's like, yeah, okay, the footage I shot exists. It's not
Exists.
what I had in my head, but that's why I'm glad there's going to be so many of these Starship tests, is because I'll get better on the next one, and I did fine on 8 compared to my own rigorous standards.
Look, Jack, you've got it venting during flight
Yeah, that's
on
legit.
With
the
a nice
video
little
there.
like a sun glint right there.
Yeah, off the top of it. There's literally a vent happening right here. You see
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
gotta
even
say,
notice that before.
that sun glint is evil.
Oh.
It makes Starship so hard to photograph at certain times of day or from certain angles, because it's like, well, there's gonna be a stripe down the side that is blown out. There's literally nothing I can do.
Oh.
Blown out means overexposed if you're not
Yep.
a
Right.
photographer nerd. But yeah, what a crazy vehicle. I mean, you love to see something right on the bleeding edge of technology like this, just sort of exercising its ability to defy what you think is going to actually. I mean, just unreal
Yeah.
stuff. I'm so as much as I ham it up and I'm like, oh geez, I'm not happy. I'm so happy that I got to be there for it and witness it, and it's history. History being made. Imagine. I don't know why I think of this one a lot, but when they were testing the Saturn V and working on Apollo, and they had that launch abort system test with like the little Joe rocket or whatever. It's
Yep.
like a little mini rocket that just was going to loft the crew capsule and the abort system into into a trajectory where it could be tested. They could test the launch abort system, and it suffered an issue midway through flight, and they used the abort system, and it was fine. So it's like, test failed successfully.
Test failed successfully. Yeah. A task failed successfully.
But I don't know. It's for some reason I get those kind of vibes when I look at these Starship flights, because it is just the stage 2 of the rocket, and
Yep.
that is something I'll say over and over again, because it bears. This isn't a booster. This is the second stage. When have we've never seen a second stage rocket. Imagine the second stage of a Falcon 9 just sitting on the pad like, wee, like you just wouldn't. Just doesn't see that. It's outrageous. So
Yeah.
and to go back to the little Joe analogy or whatever, it's similarly historic. I mean, I completely, sorry, cat screaming at me. I can completely see in 5, 10, 20 years this sort of footage will be of that same historical nature. So
Yeah.
it's wild to get to be there and experience it in person.
Oh yeah,
I mean-
I think that in the future, like Discovery Channel or History Channel or something is going to be coming to NASA spaceflight. Like, can we please have access to this footage? We need, or maybe I don't know, maybe NASA spaceflight puts together its own documentary.
Own documentary.
That
Yeah.
would be cool. Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah, we say that a lot of the time, like just capturing the entire process. It's not like, okay, here's this one test where there's this one little clip of. It's the entire process of workers out there stacking stainless steel rings on top of each other and shuffling things around. And we saw that one nose cone scooting across the yard the other day, and it's just like, really, what's going on? So just having access to that is amazing. I was going to point out on this really quickly. You can see that the SN9 is flying almost sideways, because look at the angle of the venting, I guess, coming out. I guess that's from the shutdown engine, and then the flames from the other engine that's still lit, and the thing is almost like sliding sideways. Was that obvious, Jack, that it was sort of doing a little bit of a power slide, or was it still going up but doing a power slide? It didn't look like a normal rocket that way.
No, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. And I think SN8 did the same thing as part of its flight too. It sort of got to apogee and then did like a sweet power slide. It did a little Tokyo drift or Boca Chica drift. And it's I assume that they're doing that to burn off more propellant, make things
I was thinking that they were kind of giving themselves an opportunity to get to the altitude they wanted and then slide over to the exact position in space that they wanted, so that when they so kind of like all factors are what they expect to get right where they want to be before they start the test, because they're not to the point yet where they're just coming in from orbit and let Starship figure out what it's doing on its way down. They're like, let's kind of start at a very specific spot and
Yep.
then go from there. And actually, Trevor Malman posted a comparison of footage from SN8 and SN9,
Yep.
and the flight profiles were almost identical.
Oh, I gotta check
Nice.
that out. I saw he posted that. I really gotta check that out. He's been doing some great work down there.
Yeah. Jack, I gotta ask, like, when you're doing this, we're used to you're at the Cape and the launch is going north or south or whatever, and the rocket takes off and you start to track it sideways, right? And for us, when we track that, it just keeps going, right, Steve? It just
Yeah.
keeps going in one direction.
Yeah.
They don't usually turn, and then you have to follow them. You have to pan to keep them in. Did you have to do a lot of panning for SN9? Like, is it the sort of thing where it starts here and you go way over here to the ocean and then you go way back here again? Or is it really just sort of up and then down?
It's like up over a little bit and then down. Yeah, it's extremely vertical. And
Yeah.
it's challenging. The same thing happened to me with SN8, so I was a little bit prepared for it for SN9, where at apogee, I'm like, my camera is like almost pointed straight up.
Yep.
And so my eyeball has to be at the back of one of those cameras to be able to see what I'm shooting. So yeah, so I'm crouching behind, and so for SN8, I had to, like, I just power squatted for like 5 minutes, and then
Oh, man.
afterwards I was like, but for SN9, I was prepared for that, and I set up the folding chair that I had been using to be in front
Yep.
of me. So when it got to apogee, I sort of kneeled down on the chair and was doing it that way. So it worked out. But it's challenging because like you said, Dust, with a normal rocket, it's going to start going downrange at a certain point, and at that point, it's kind of like, okay, I'm at the general height that my camera is going to be pointed at, and now I just got to follow it out. And with SN9 and SN8 and these Starship tests, it's very much like, stay with it. It's directly above you in the sun. Don't lose it. It's just like, oh geez, that was probably one of the more challenging things about 9 versus 8 is the time of day that it launched.
Yeah.
The sun was almost directly overhead, and so it basically went into the sun, which was really tricky from my perspective. But what an amazing flight! I'm not even mad they didn't stick the landing. I thought they would. Now I'm wondering if it'll be a more like drawn out process for them to figure
To
out
actually get it.
yeah, that flip and burn, or if they'll get it with 10. I mean, we don't quite know what happened with 9. I'm sure we're getting a lot of questions. What happened to SN9? Why did it land? Why didn't they start the flip early? I don't think it's a matter of starting the flip earlier, but we just don't know what happened with 9 at this point. Maybe we'll get an Elon tweet or something letting us know what the deal is there. But
Well, I think
hopefully SN10 gets it, and if it doesn't, SN11 is close behind.
I thought we did get an Elon tweet. Didn't he say that they weren't smart enough or something?
Yeah.
What was that
He
tweet
said we
that
were
he
too
did?
dumb, because somebody was like, why don't you just light 3 Raptors and shut one down if everything's good? And he's like, because we're too dumb. Yeah, we're too foolish.
I don't have that tweet linked here. But this is the one where he said it's foolish of us not to start 3 engines and immediately shut down 1, because somebody was like, why don't you do this? And I saw that he tweeted out, oh geez, we were just too dumb. I didn't know if he was being sarcastic, like, yeah, we thought of that and there's reasons we wouldn't do that, or if he was I didn't know how to read that at first, but apparently it's an actual option, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I take it as a little bit of both. I mean,
Yeah.
he's obviously being a little bit flippant, but also,
Right. Like, oh no, somebody should have thought of that. Jeez, you know what I mean?
But it's for sure also the kind of thing where if they're looking at the data after the flight and they're like, man, if we had just started that other one instead of the one, we would have been money.
only.
So, yeah, right. So it's the kind of thing where you totally want to be able to learn from your mistakes, and if they are able to program a 3-2-1 landing burn versus a 2-1 landing burn, and that solves any issues in case of a failed Raptor ignite, well, that's a good thing. And definitely, if they're going to do point to point, if they're going to launch crew, they need to get to a point where that landing flip and burn is an afterthought. It looks as normal and as chill and as boring as an airplane coming in to land at an airport with no crosswind.
I don't know, man. I don't know if that's if this maneuver is ever going to look like a plane smoothly coming in for a landing. I'm still not getting on a Starship anytime soon.
Oh,
I'll
man,
tell you that
sign me
much.
up. You know me, sign me up. But
On the
but
next
point,
one, right?
yeah, right. Let's do it. But point being, I'll ride it like oh gosh, what was the character from Doctor Strangelove who it was like the
Oh,
Slim
yeah,
Pickens or
Slim
something like
Pickens.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, ride the bomb into the yeah. Anyways, they got a ways to go with that maneuver, but I'm confident they'll get it eventually. And I am just
Even
now noticing, oh God, I scratched my laptop at some point on this trip.
wait, what?
Oh no. Oh, it's like a tiny little burr I can feel with my. Oh no, what have I
Oh
done?
no.
Anyways,
I had paused this like this because this was something that was really obvious here. Look at Starship right now. The forward flaps are deployed out to get additional drag, and the rear flaps are sort of stowed. They're tucked back, and it was so obvious from all the different camera angles when it did that how it was trying to use those flaps. You could actually see the flaps moving during the transition to the belly flop maneuver because it was on its tail, then it went for the belly flop, and you could see how it's using the fins to do that. That's why I had it paused on this for the longest time. But
Yeah, it's like it uses like it starts to tip over and then it
Yep.
extends those top flaps to make sure it doesn't tip over too far, right?
yep.
yeah.
And then they go ahead and stow the top flaps, and they're just
Yeah.
sort of both in the partially stowed. It's not really stowed, I guess, but the back position, so you're not getting as much drag, and you can fold it down if you need some more drag in the front, and you need to get the nose up a little bit, or if you need more drag in the back, you can fold the back down, and the tail will come up a little bit. And Starship is managing the forward and aft flaps so that it can keep that nice flat belly flop. I mean, from some angles, Jack, it looks like it's a little bit tilted, but was it coming down like this?
Yeah,
Or
I
was
was
it
wondering that
completely
too.
flat?
I think there's a certain component of nose down where it's like almost gliding towards the ignition point for
Right.
landing, but it's hard to say without like a direct frame of reference in the sky alongside it.
Yeah.
It's just it's wild. It's so wild to see something that massive just belly flopping through the air like that. It's so cool. And then they start up the vents and stuff to get the engines ready to go, and it's
Yep.
just like that right there. That when it
That's the
starts,
tri-vent. Is
That
that
looks
the
really
tri-vent going?
cool.
that is the tri-vent, and it looks so cool. I could not agree with you more, Steve. That is like probably my favorite phase of flight for Starship, is because when those tri-vents start up, you're like, all right, we're real close to engine ignite. And just look at that. How can
Look,
you
it's
not
ridiculous.
how can you not love that? I mean, that's just how is that real footage? We need to caption that. I want to believe and have a
Look at this. What is this?
wild.
So
And there, of course, is where the problem. Go ahead, Steve.
At what point were you like, oh no, they've tipped too far or it's not tipping back? It had to be like milliseconds. It's like, oh, here it goes. Oh no.
Oh, it's over right there.
Oh, it's
like,
over.
oh, it's over.
Ugh.
Because you can sort of tell one of the engines hadn't lit or lit wrong or wasn't getting enough fuel pressure or what, but it it very obviously, right as it did that flip, it's like, it's not coming back,
Yeah.
I love that our caption was Starship lands harder than expected.
Love
Like,
it.
really? You gotta be kidding
that.
me.
Look at that COPV right there.
No,
too
here,
late
I got
now,
it.
but you can see it. The
Yeah,
COPV
it's like right
comes,
there.
Yeah, right here. Look at this right here.
Whee!
It's like a flying COPV. Watch this thing.
So, did you guys ever play Max Payne?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There was a thing in Max Payne where you could walk up to like an oxygen canister and whack the end of the oxygen canister off with a
Yep.
pipe, and it would just become a rocket.
Yeah.
Like no source of ignition, anything. It would just become a rocket. And if you're in a level, you're low on ammo, you're like, oh, I'll just whack the ends off of all these compressed air cylinders, and they'll become rockets somehow. But no, in this case, the COPV legit, like it appeared to have propulsion of its own based on its
Right.
own venting flammable gas.
Yeah, it was going vertical there for a little while. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna fly away.
Look at that, yeah.
Yeah,
Look at it. It's just
It's
I
just
love
right
it.
here. Yeah. You can see what's in the COPV? Is it nitrogen? Is it helium?
I think
Do we know?
I think there's different things in different COPVs, and probably
Okay.
some are helium, probably some are nitrogen. I'm not quite sure what that one was. It looked
Yeah.
to me like there was fire coming out the end of
Yeah.
it. So I don't know that you could ignite. I don't know that you could ignite nitrogen or helium. So I'm not sure
Look at that. Yeah.
what that would be.
Jack.
But it's on fire. It's
I
super
hadn't
on
even
fire.
seen that.
Yes.
Look, right here, it is completely and totally on fire. Watch right there when it's coming out of the flame. I backed it up and that is definitely looking like a fire.
Yes.
And then it almost looks like it blows the fire out, like the pressure coming out is so much.
You
Yep.
don't think it's possible that, like, with the bright explosion right next to it, it's reflecting off of
I think
whatever is
maybe-
coming out of there?
I think maybe the explosion near it is so hot that it's able to ignite whatever gas that is, and then when it gets further away from the fireball, it blows itself out, and it no longer
Right,
has
yeah.
a necessary ignition source that's like robust enough to ignite whatever gas that is.
I hadn't even noticed that
anything-
it.
Anything will burn if you get enough fire involved.
I guess
I
you're
had
right.
not noticed that flaming COPV come. I knew that it was afterwards. It was sort of going around like a pressure rocket, but
I had actually gotten I did a video grab from the stream and kind of cropped it in and was gonna tweet it out, but I thought, man, maybe that's bad taste because I'd zoomed right in on it. And like, nah, I decided against it.
I really want to know if that was actually flame coming out of it or if it was just lit up by the fire. You know?
Yeah. Are there any other angles? Like, I know that this is like a compiled
right?
video, but you know, maybe in some of the other footage that we have, maybe it'd be
Yeah, I'm just
possible to
gonna
go back and find out.
Keep
I'll
rolling
take
these. This is all aftermath, so I'll jump up here.
I'll take another look at my footage when I get a chance.
There
But
you
yeah,
go.
that's just wild. It's
Yeah,
just
was
so
that
wild.
Mary's camera or was that your camera?
Mary.
This is Mary's camera, and this is a replay at half speed. So we'll watch it at half speed. Then the rest of the video switches to the other things. And y'all, if you're watching and you want to step through these videos yourself, this is our compilation, and I'm putting that link into chat right there. I just put it in 3 times. I'll put it over there on Twitch as well. Hey Mac, how's it going? Thanks for the resub. And there, I put the link there if you want to go back and forth as well. But
What an awesome angle.
did you see the debris come out, Jack? Like while you were filming, you saw. You're like, oh geez, what's that?
Oh yeah. Yep. It was
that-
it was pretty obvious.
And that was like part of the thermal protection underneath the skirt, right? That wasn't coming out of the nozzle of the engine, was it?
I think that is so far the most plausible. Look at that COPV go.
COPV.
That is, it's like I want to reach orbit. I can. I'm
no.
trying.
I can do it. I believe.
Exactly. No, yeah, it was pretty obvious. Something bad happened during that flip maneuver. I don't know if that was just a thermal blanket that came out, was not consequential, or if that was Raptor barfing some guts up or what. I still need to watch I think Scott Manley did a video analysis of it, but in stepping through my still frames, it looks like a rectangular piece of something. I don't know. It looks distinctly rectangular and flexible.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like something that come out from under the skirt.
This is just ridiculous, this thing falling out of the sky.
Hmm.
Can we see the COPV from this angle? I think it's on the far side of the explosion here, right?
Yeah. I love at the last second it like tries to get a little twist in. It's like, I can do it if I just twist a little. Yeah.
Look at this. Hang on. Look, this one piece of shrapnel really went flying. Let me see here. Yeah, look right in this area here with the mouse. Watch this. That piece right there.
Whoa.
This thing right here is going like crazy. Watch that little piece.
Wow.
Oh,
where
man.
that piece ended up.
That's up and out of
Yeah.
frame.
That's gone.
Come back.
I don't think it actually comes back into unless no, that's coming. That's like floating down like something really light.
Yeah.
I don't see that other
that's
piece
nuts.
ever come back
So-
down.
So how high must that have been? I mean, you know, Starship is how tall, and that was like 3-4 times as high as the tip of the Starship.
Easily, it just
that's
left
wild.
the top of the frame.
And it didn't
So this
seem
was-
in any of the footage I saw, it didn't look like any of the debris flew over towards SN10 either, which is good.
I didn't see anything.
Yeah, it didn't look like anything made it over quite that far.
This is so Mary set a static camera. So she had the tracking camera where she was following it, and then she set one just sort of looking directly at the launch and landing site. So here is that static camera.
Oh wow! And the nose just starts rolling towards the camera.
You can see it come towards the camera. Y'all, did you see that? Look at the nose cone
It's
in
wild
this
that
angle.
it just spews. What is that?
Yeah.
I guess that would be methane everywhere. Like that's just wild.
I think that might be LOX. I think the header tank might have ruptured right there, and that's the rapidly expanding LOX
Oh.
from the header tank.
Good
Because if it
point.
was methane, I think it'd be a fireball. I don't know.
I'm not
Did
going to
anybody, like-
speculate on what methane does near sources of ignition. Last time I did that, it did not go well.
Let me see. This is the other. Oh, this is the closer in camera here. Let's go to the not quite landing. This one might be framed a little bit
Oh
over.
man.
You can see that COPV go again, but it's just right on the edge of the frame on this one. I want to see it from one of the wide. Let's see. This was crazy. So instead of trying to track with this robotic camera, we just left it in this fixed shot. And we actually said, okay, last time the flip maneuver started here. And so that was this many Starship links above the ground. And we took a screenshot and we said, okay, here's Starship. And then here's this many Starship links above the ground. And we tried to frame this shot specifically so that you would see Starship come back down again. But this isn't even slow motion. This is real time.
Wow.
Yep.
And it just looks like it's hovering.
I really love this shot because it's more like what you would see with your own two eyes if you were there, and it's almost exactly what you would see with your own two eyes. And it really shows you how slowly this vehicle
Yeah.
crawls off the pad, and likewise, it shows you what it looks like as it belly flops towards the landing pad. I mean, it's just, I know I keep repeating myself, but this vehicle is absolutely wild. I mean, just look at that.
The fact that it falls
that.
onto the frames is still horizontal, and then it starts to flip almost right before the ground.
So satisfying.
God.
You hate to
So-
see it blow up, but you love to see it try.
Yeah.
See, I think the last one is, yeah, this is your view coming up last here, Jack. So is that the pirate ship going back in? That looks like it might be the
It
pirate
is.
ship.
It is. The pirate ship was out during the flight, and let me tell you, I was so mad that I didn't get a shot of the pirate ship heading out when both starships were on the pad. I don't know what I was looking at or whatever, but I looked up, and pirate ship is just out of my frame.
Oh.
And I was just like, no! And so I got shots of it coming back in. So it's like SN10 and the pirate ship. And it's like, yeah. And I have
Yeah,
shots
okay,
of it
whatever.
with SN8. And it's like, yeah, pirate ship, yeah. But not with both. I flubbed that. Yeah, so you can see the debris fly
Yeah.
out right
Mm.
there.
It's
Just
like
wild.
puking its guts out, it looks like, as it's coming down. Gah. Anyways, so we could sit here and we could just watch this footage all day long.
It looks like a Hollywood explosion there.
It really does.
It's even
like
got the little mushroom effects, right? The
Yeah.
mushroom cloud effect.
just like the grizzled special effects guy, like, all right, everyone step back. We're going to use a lot of propane on this one. And it's just like, oh, geez. I hope I have eyebrows after this.
I'm just going to keep this video going, and I'm going to read some super chats really quickly. There's lots of questions and stuff. Again, y'all, we answer some questions. We hop over back and forth. Right now, we're watching SN9 footage, and you can't blame us for not reading the super chats because we're watching SN9 footage. But let me grab some of these really quickly and see if we can answer a couple of these questions. Let's start with Vendis Nye. And this was a question about the ground facilities surrounding the area. What a great shot. Watch for the shrapnel here to go towards the other facilities. Then it's with $100 Canadian saying, was there any damage to SpaceX ground facilities? How far did SN9 debris fall from the crash? About that far.
You're looking at.
Yeah, I don't know like distance wise, but I can say that there was people scavenging after they reopened the road.
Really?
Which don't do that. I mean, that's just me. Just don't do
Yeah.
that. It's wildlife preserve property. You're not really supposed to be
Like
trouncing
tromping around through the.
Yeah, it's a fragile habitat. But yeah, there was a good number of people scavenging, and I saw some people way out, like specks on the horizon. So I imagine there's pieces spread far and wide.
Yeah. But we didn't see any big hits at the facility itself. So I'm
No.
going to keep using this view because it sort of shows the shrapnel going towards. But right here, I mean, you could even track some of this. That piece, there's a piece right there, kind of hard to see, but it doesn't hit SN10. It sort of misses SN10 right there, right?
Yeah,
And you can see all these other pieces. Most of it falls way short. Even this is like a lighter piece coming down, it looks like, but most of it falls way short. That piece, I think that the piece that's coming down from here, and I'm just using the mouse to point, does that come? No, that comes from the explosion. Look at this.
Yeah, that one got lofted a good amount.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the piece we were looking at a little bit ago, isn't it?
That easily cleared the tank farm. I mean,
Wow.
if I had to guess, that was sort of coming towards the camera too.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what direction it's going.
Like, is it getting bigger? Maybe it's definitely spinning as it goes, but
Yeah.
It does seem like it's getting bigger.
Yeah.
So it reminds me. The question basically makes me think of when SN4 detonated, and we had those impacts to the water tanks, and
Yep.
you could see the water afterwards, sort of flowing out of the tanks because they had been punctured. I
Yep.
don't think we saw anything remotely like that with this explosion, and I don't know if that's just a function of there's not much propellant left in the vehicle at that point in time, and so even though there's a big fireball, it's not necessarily too energetic. But
Yeah.
but or if it's like some inverse square law thing where it's like, well, it's actually far away enough that by the time the debris gets to the tank farm, it's going much slower. I don't know. I'm not quite sure the physics behind it, but it seemed like the launch site and its infrastructure fared just fine.
Yeah, for SN4, it was almost like something was fired out of the explosion like an arrow, like high velocity, a flat trajectory, like a line drive baseball hit, right? And when it
Mhm.
impacted the side of those water tanks, it literally just slid open the side of the water tank, is what it looked like. And all the debris we saw here, we didn't see anything going line drive. It was all sort of like high pop fly, right? The
Yeah.
Yep.
big arcing trajectories that we saw in some of these. So we didn't hear about any massive damage to the ground facilities. Of course, a ton of people were, oh my gosh, why would they roll out SN10? That's such a risk, et cetera, et cetera. And the big risk for SpaceX is not getting these things tested. They're not
Yeah,
building
have
them.
you been following SpaceX?
Yeah.
They are I mean, within reason, they are willing to accept a little risk, not when there's human
Yeah.
life on the line or anything like that, but with stuff like this, yeah, they'll take some chances.
It
Yeah.
reminds me of X-planes a lot. And oh, Jack thinks about planes, surprise, surprise.
Uh-oh.
But no, really, it reminds me of when we were doing aeronautical research and we would make all kinds of crazy I mean, there's still a couple here and there, but they're a rarer thing these days. But the X1 breaking the sound barrier, or
Right.
the X15, going Mach 7 or whatever it was. Like there was a time where risk was much more, it was tolerated more,
Mhm.
and in the name of learning and advancing the state of the art. And uh, you could go the other route and make everything perfect the first time and try and do that, and you're not really even testing, you're really just validating the systems. But uh, that can
Then it
take
takes forever.
yeah, I'm not even going to start with what we know about how that takes forever, but just goes to show that sometimes a little bit of hardware rich production and less aversion to risk can really um, can really result in an advancement rapidly. At least so we hope.
Yeah. So let me get some more super chats here. Again, we're going to be able to talk about this forever. I want to answer as many questions and stuff like that as I can. Um, here's one. This is from Tony Pinville saying, Jack deserves a burger. Great stuff from all the teams. So Jack, get yourself a hamburger, it looks like.
That sounds delicious. I haven't eaten yet today. I'm so hungry. That was my mistake.
Here is Kylie Williams from Australia saying, hey, NSF team, just my regular hello from the future. Sunday morning here in Sydney. Great job with all the amazing views from Boca Chica, Jack. So that's from Kylie Williams saying, good job, Jack.
Thanks, Kylie.
Right. Igor Valuev? Wow, I don't know if I can value something like that. €5 saying for Jack's cat from a big fan, and there's a cat emoji again for you, Jack.
Ah,
Apparently, our overlay handles the cat emoji. It displays the cat emoji in the
nice.
super chat.
Yeah, look at that.
Here is one from Andre Carmel saying, "Did you get the flag, Jack? Flag? A flag?
I'm
I've
guessing no.
I've got I've got like 3 or 4 packages that I need to open, and thank you to
Oh.
everybody who sent me something. That's
Oh. Look
you guys are crazy in the best possible way, but yeah, I don't
look at
know. I should
those
what?
look at the return addresses. See if you see Andre Carmel on any return addresses.
Let's see.
Is there
No,
like
it's
a box you're supposed to open on NSF Live or something? Here?
Maybe.
there is one. I thought there's one that you're supposed to open on NSF
I have
Live.
it down here on the floor. We'll do that at the end. I
Open
don't
it.
know what's in it, so
Open it.
I
Open
hope it
it.
doesn't bite me. Let me get a couple more here. Future Martian, $20 saying best show of the week. How you doing, Future Martian? Thank you so much for stopping in, a name that we see all the time over there. Philip Evans. So we talked about this just a little bit. It's more Starship stuff. Philip Evans saying, what are your thoughts on the fact that Starship only uses 2 engines on landing instead of 3? And why do they only use 2? So I can address why they only use 2, because Raptors make a lot of thrust, and when the Starship doesn't have a lot of fuel left in it, the thrust to weight ratio is off the charts, so it's really hard for them to land. You don't want to come down and hover and then take off again like you've done in Kerbal Space Program 8,000 times, right? You need to have the right amount of thrust so that you can actually reach the ground and stop moving. So that's one of the reasons that they don't go for 3. Now, why don't they start 3 and then turn them off? That's what Elon was saying, like, oh, we should have thought of that. I mean, Steve and Jack, do you think we're going to see that on SN10?
Wouldn't shock me. It really wouldn't.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and one of the things I thought about was, I think I thought of that like before, and I was thinking, well, maybe with a rocket, I don't know a whole lot about rocket engines. I have a very basic knowledge of how they work, but I was thinking maybe it's potentially harmful to start one up and then immediately shut it down. But I
Oh
guess
yeah,
they kind of do that with static fires a lot, because sometimes they'll just start to start it up and then they'll
Yep.
shut it down immediately, and then the engine's fine. So
yeah.
I don't.
That's a good point. I hadn't really considered like a hard start or shutdown scenario impacting their ability to pull that maneuver off. But definitely, I mean, with Falcon 9, we've seen iterations of the landing burn, right? Like
Mhm.
I think they initially did 1 engine, and then they did like 2, 1, 2, and sometimes they'll do like a 3, 2, 1. I don't know. There's different landing burns Falcon 9 does, right?
Right.
So depending on the situation. So writing a little bit more flexibility into the vehicle software so that it can sort of pick and choose what it does with its engines in a given scenario seems like nothing but a
Right.
good idea.
Yeah, and
And you don't.
that was the tweet as well, right? That Elon was saying. I bet you for SN10 they may go with all 3 startups, like you said. What were you saying, Steve? Sorry.
I was just going to say, if you start up 3 and and you can't cut that thrust immediately, then you've got a different amount of thrust than what you initially planned on having, and going from, oh no, there's something wrong with this one, we gotta shut it down. You because the whole idea is, I think, like the Falcon 9, it's doing like a hover slam, a suicide burn. Like
Yep.
you gotta run out of velocity right at that right time. And
Yep.
if you've got too much thrust or not enough thrust, then that's going to be thrown off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
And
want a
it,
pizza when you're supposed to French fry because then you're gonna have a bad time.
jeez. I saw a ton of people saying, why don't they flip it sooner, and why don't they hover down more slowly, and those sorts of things. Like, why don't they start a kilometer up to do the flip maneuver and then come in like Falcon 9? Because Falcon 9 falls the entire way on its tail, right?
Mhm.
And that comes down to the fuel that you have remaining,
Yeah.
right? So you have to burn fuel the entire time you're coming down and you're in that vertical orientation. You have to light the Raptors to flip onto the tail. So
Right.
they use the gimbaling of the Raptors in order to change the center of thrust versus the center of mass and get that big rotation to go from horizontal to vertical. So
Yeah.
you're turning on the Raptors. But then you don't just turn off the Raptors and try to turn the Raptors on again when you fall that last little bit. You're going to run the Raptors the entire time. And each Raptor has like a minimum throttle that they can run at, or you risk flame out. So you have to be burning fuel on the number of engines that you have the entire time you're falling after you've restarted them for the flip.
Yeah.
So could you try and flip at 2 kilometers and then get into the tail down situation and then fall all the way and land like that? You could, but you got to leave the Raptors on, it sounds like,
Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
use the Raptors for the flip and then they're on the entire way down. So then you have to carry more fuel, your payload's less, whichever way. I think that's a reason they're going for that last minute sort of flip and land thing,
And I
right?
think it's,
And
for me, one of the most surprising parts of the belly flop is, first of all, the fact that it works, but also how slowly it's falling. Because if they were falling down vertically, then you'd have so much more velocity to kill at the end. But
Yep.
when it's coming down just so gently, it's like a piece of paper.
it really is. It's the heaviest, most made out of steel piece of paper.
The most
And
made out of steel piece of paper.
and to your point, Dust, I imagine the header tanks are sized specifically for, the amount of propellant 2 Raptors are going to want for a specific amount of time.
Yep.
And to start the flip at a different time or to start way up high, then that would, to me, that says they would need a design change in terms of resizing of the header tanks or tweaking some other things. So SpaceX is full of extremely smart people. I'm sure they've thought of when to do the flip and all of that stuff. So maybe they're just too dumb to fire 3 engines. But
Jeez.
all right, I'm being told to open up a package by Andre here, so I don't know. I'll poke around and see what I have.
I think we'll do a package opening near the end of the show. How's that
Okay.
sound?
Yeah,
That was
good
my
idea.
plan, because I've got
Good
one
idea.
here as well. So at the end, when we're sort of done with the show, then we'll do the package openings.
I don't have a
All right.
package.
I know. Geez.
Aw.
Really? So
someone
rude.
Someone send Steven some shuttle books or something.
Quick, do it now.
Let me grab a couple more chats here. Le Pingo Pete. Okay. How much translational control do you guys think the Starship is capable of during free fall, as in repositioning its in-point gliding? So that's a
I
great
think a
question for you,
lot,
Jack.
yeah.
How much cross range does it have? Is it sort of nosing down and moving a little bit like this?
Especially when it starts from the top of the atmosphere, when they start going orbital. I think they're
Right.
gonna have a lot of freedom, like the shuttle did. You know.
I mean, I definitely don't think it'll be like thousands of miles like the shuttle had, but
No.
undeniably they'll be able to get a little bit of glide slope out of those fins.
Yeah, I bet you that it's enough to make the difference between the landing pad and the water. You know what I mean?
Oh, for
Easily,
sure.
the
Yep.
landing pad and the water.
Yep.
I would love to know or have somebody calculate what the glide ratio of a falling Starship would be, because shuttle was somewhere around 1 to 3, right?
Yeah, so for every foot forward it went, it fell 3.
It fell 3, right? So I
Wow.
wonder what Starships would be. Like, would Starship be close to the shuttle? Is the bigger body, because the Starship's not the same where the entire bottom of the shuttle was flat. It was almost like a quasi-lifting body for a big part of the shuttle, right? And then you had the wings as well. But I wonder if Starship would have more or less cross range, like the glide ratio, I guess. Is that the right terminology? I think it's glide
Yeah,
ratio.
Sure.
I think that's it. Yeah,
We
Chad
need
will correct me if
Thomas.
I'm wrong.
We need Thomas to come on and be like, "You
Yeah.
guys are completely wrong."
Yeah. But I
Fools.
wonder, it's probably different when it's the flaps are deployed versus when they're tucked back
Yeah.
as well. So if they fully deployed the flaps, would it be able to? Should be able to glide, get a little bit more horizontal movement than when
Yeah.
the flaps are back. It's designed that way, right?
I feel like it flew with flaps stowed much more than 8 did. I need to go back and maybe watch that comparison Trevor did or what have you,
Yep.
or look at both of my footages from 8 and 9. But I feel like for a significant portion of flight, it was just kind of doing the Naruto run straight to the. Don't you both drink at the same time?
Oh, whoops.
Well, you're talking. We can
I was
drink while
trying
you're
to take
talking.
my chance. I was like, oh, now's my chance.
It's like, quick now, 3, 2, 1.
Oh man, but yeah, it's kind of like doing that Naruto run, like straight
Here,
to the
Jack,
ground.
you talk. Fine.
Oh geez. Okay, so welcome to my Starship webinar.
I'm gonna
How
go ahead and
not
mute
to
myself.
land a Starship.
Oh, so I'm going to read a couple more, and then we're going to keep on marching through the topics. We've spent 49 minutes actually.
Yeah, y'all
on
are just way
Starship
too
here.
generous. There are way too many super chats. Keep them coming.
Here's one from Jacob Peter Hansel, actually, saying SN9 did a belly landing like the whale in Hitchhiker's Guide. Where's the petunia? Hanging in the air exactly like a potted plant wouldn't. What's that? It's pretty close to the quote. Not exactly.
I'll take it.
Dougal saying Matna for the SN9 stream. Thank you in Inuktitut. Wow. Nunavut language. All right. I don't know if I pronounced any of that correctly. Dougal, appreciate you. Hashtag Team Jack. Happy to see Jack is home again now. So Dougal, thank you so much for the 5 Canadian. Future Martian had a question here. Did it seem like SN9 lifted off slightly faster than SN8 before slowing its descent once it got farther from the ground? Jack, you saw both of them with your own eyes. Do you think one took off faster than the other?
Oh man, Das. Eyewitness testimony is notoriously unreliable.
What was the license plate on SN9?
It was.
What color was it?
It was. Oh god, I can't think of a funny vanity plate for SN9 off the top of my head. Anyways, it's hard to say. I would have to look again at like that comparison Trevor did, or look at my footage again. It seemed like it did sort of leap off the pad relatively quickly.
Yep.
But I don't know. I can't say with authority whether that was faster than 8 or what.
We need like some video editing like they have on Mythbusters where they film it against the background and then they can
Yes.
see the speed based on the
Yeah.
frame rate of the camera.
Yeah, they'll allow that. Just like a huge wall behind it. Yeah, I'm sure SpaceX would be
A
cool
big
with
black and white wall with the
Somebody
Like-
just at Elon and be like, hey,
Yeah.
on the launch tower, when you finally build the launch tower out there, put a checkerboard pattern on it so we can do physics.
that. Yeah.
Oh, let me grab a couple more here. Anthony DiPiero says, it's my theory, SN9 twists its end to direct the explosion away from SN10 and the fuel farm. SpaceX stream showed how far the explosion went. Do we think that was just the way that it happened, or do we think that was an intentional thing?
My
My gut,
assumption was, just how it happened.
yep,
Yeah.
same. That is the vehicle trying to recover control in an
Yeah.
uncontrollable state.
It might have been, it was expecting to have 2 Raptors online, and it was commanding as if it had 2 Raptors, but then when you only have 1 Raptor, commanding that remaining Raptor to do, expecting there would be another balancing force, could cause it to go into a spiral like that. If I had to guess from a couple hours in Kerbal Space Program, I would imagine it needed those 2 engines, and when it sent that command to the single engine being deflected a certain way caused it to go into that little spiral at the end. I don't know
Yeah.
that that would have been an intentional thing.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
And I don't know that you would write the software such that the single engine would try to correct for the complete loss of the other engine, because
Right.
clearly it wasn't able to do that, right? So
Well, I mean, Falcon 9 is programmed to, ditch itself in the ocean and stuff. Maybe it's possible that if it's coming down parallel to the ground, maybe it tries to still stay within that corridor of where the landing pad is.
yeah.
But it just doesn't seem like there's enough time right there for it to actually be trying to do anything.
Yeah, it really does seem to me like an artifact of having asymmetric thrust from an engine that's flamed out, and you're trying to command this engine to do a thing, but only having one engine is going to torque the entire thing around. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I if I had to guess, that would be my guess.
Really quickly here, there's one from Gypsy Tinker saying we don't have the SpaceX stream up, but just to humor them, they
Oh,
say,
yeah.
I'm broke, but please read this. Check at 31 seconds on the SpaceX stream engine bay view. There are bits flying off, and no one is covering it. There, we covered it. I will
Yeah.
have to go back and watch the SpaceX stream 31 seconds in. But thanks for pointing that out, Gypsy Tinker.
Yeah, I don't actually have that link up. We were just looking at our video here.
Yeah, no worries. I know I'm putting you on the spot with that. I just wanted to read that one out because they were.
Yeah,
they had
absolutely.
a good point, and you don't have to super chat to ask questions on here.
No, that's the next thing up. There was one more I was going to get. Then we were going to go to some non-super chats because that gets me sort of caught up in my 45-minute queue. Red Holly Music says, "Sup guys," and this is sort of a general question. Been a fun few weeks hanging with you. My question is, if you got to or had to fly any spacecraft past or present, what would it be?
Oh, that's easy.
Okay, Jack.
Skylab.
Skylab.
Yeah, no question.
Really?
Skylab. Yeah, no question.
Skylab a spacecraft?
Yes, it's
Oh,
the
sure.
craft in
Yeah.
space.
It's a
ISS is
station?
a spacecraft.
Interesting, because I think of a spacecraft as something that you ride from the ground to space, not once you get in. So that's just more of like a station to me. Why Skylab, Jack?
Because it's so spacious. We don't.
So much room for activities.
Yeah, so much room for
That's
activities.
true. Yeah.
But no, really, like we have not had a
Yeah.
spacecraft or a station or whatever you want to call it like Skylab since Skylab, and I lament it, and I long for big open spaces with which to do sweet kickflips in zero gravity.
Like the Bigelow expandable stations, right?
Exactly.
You've seen those in person.
I have. That was quite an experience. And if I have to pick if we're gonna say that Skylab isn't a spacecraft, I'm gonna go with Dinosaur, which I know wasn't actually made, but Dinosaur would have been awesome.
Yeah. Steve, what about you?
Well, I really like the Skylab answer, but my first instinct is Apollo, because
Yeah.
it's the only one that's been to the moon. It's the only ride going to the moon so far.
Yeah, that's the easy second choice answer or first choice answer is Apollo, because then that means you get to go to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, and if we can go into like unrealistic fantasy land, a ride on Voyager would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
To fly past all the planets,
That would have
Yeah,
been cool,
definitely.
yeah.
But now you'd be out in the literal middle
Not
of
coming
nowhere. Yeah.
Hello.
It's lacking a chair as well. Like you'd have to bolt one of those command seats like Kerbal on the side of it and just ride
Yeah.
Voyager out to.
It makes me think of the Futurama episode where Bender is like accelerating rapidly through space forever or whatever.
Yeah.
I just keep playing this footage in the background, y'all. I mean, I'm not even talking about anything specific. For me, I have had the opportunity to go on to the shuttle trainer at Museum of Flight in Seattle, right? And the 2 decks and the chairs that you're sitting in and all the stuff inside the command portion of the shuttle. If I had to choose, I would have loved to ride on the space shuttle.
Yeah.
That would have been what?
My head.
Why?
Wait, so you're Mr. I'm not gonna fly on Starship, and yet you would fly on the death trap that was the shuttle. Sorry, Crispy.
I would fly on the space shuttle before Starship any day of the week. I would.
All right. I mean, give Starship like five 5 or 6 years of development. Maybe.
Yeah, ask him again in 6 years.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
still fly on space shuttle.
Starship's going to Mars, man.
Yeah.
You're still
That's
gonna...
one reason I don't want to be on it.
Oh.
No, I would have loved to strap into a shuttle stack and fly on shuttle. That would have been an absolutely crazy thing to experience.
Yeah.
So, anyways, a good question there. One of those opinion things, Red. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to talk about our opinions and thoughts and feelings. I'm going to see if there's another question about SN9. A lot of these questions we've answered. So, did it take any damage? We haven't seen any damage there, Christopher. Did the rest of the facility take any damage? A lot of these questions are things that we've talked about. So just because we didn't answer your question specifically, we've sort of answered them in a roundabout manner, right? Do we know what caused the RUD on SN9? That would be the rapid stop at the end. The flight was fine. It was the rapid stop at the end that got SN9.
Yeah, it was the Earth rapidly rushing up to meet it.
Yeah.
Unforgivingly.
What was the shirt, the company No Fear back in the 90s? It's like,
yeah.
it's not the fall that kills you.
It's not the fall that kills you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
So it was an engine failure during the flip. One of the engines failed. It did not relight. Massive problems with the engine, and then only having one engine was not enough to maintain control after it got that big pendulum effect going, and not enough to stop in time. So not only was it not vertical, it did also not have enough thrust to touch down at the right speed where it could stay in one piece. Instead, it went into many pieces. So the specific cause is an engine failure, a failure to reignite that caused it to both lose control because it didn't have enough control authority and didn't have enough thrust to slow down. So to actually answer your question, definitely the sudden stop at the end.
It needed a thrust of 3. It only had a thrust of 1.
That's exactly right. The thrust should be 3, and it was only 1. Thank you, Jack. Actually, I mean, technically, the thrust should be 2, but if you start at 3, then you can go down to 2. It's hard to go from 1 to 2, but it's okay to go from 3 to 2.
Okay, so the way that I think about this philosophically is, even if it's 2 engines that are firing for the landing burn, if that's what is intended, a nominal landing burn is 2 engines, thrust is 3, even with 2 engines. I mean, it's not a 1 engine to 1 thrust. This is very complex math, Doc. I don't know. It's very, very complex stuff.
That is true. 3 is just the amount of thrust that you need to be successful. Whatever that turns, there's no units. Jeez.
Yes, correct.
I'm going to grab one more, and we've spent an hour talking about SN9. Of course, that's big news, but we do have other things that we're going to cover here. Let me get one more question.
Andre is telling you to give him his address, Steve, so beware.
Oh, no.
Andre, you should give him your address, and he will send you cool stuff.
Okay. Here, I'll just put it right here in chat.
Yeah, there you go.
Here, I can grab this because here's the relevant video, and this is from Java Man saying, does the cloud of LOX from the nose cone mean the LOX valve failed? And I don't think that this had anything to do with the valve. I think this had to do with a rapid, complete failure of the tanks. And what you have there is the tank being ripped in pieces, and all of the liquid oxygen that's inside that tank suddenly being spewed all over the place. I don't know if anybody's ever done it like in physics lab or something, and you have like the liquid nitrogen, and it's in the dewar, and it's sort of like liquid nitrogen-y. But if you spill it out of there and you sort of spread it around, it just instantly flashes into liquid, I guess, gaseous nitrogen then for nitrogen. But
I saw Demolition Man. I know.
I saw Demolition Man. It's like a surface area to volume ratio thing, and you have a volume that's all sort of contained in the tank and then it's covered by the tank, and so it's not creating this huge cloud. But once you take that and you increase the surface area of the liquid oxygen by spreading it into a bunch of droplets, they can all just go into gaseous form. They heat up and go into gas, and that's why you get that big plume from a little amount of liquid oxygen, is what I would think. I think that's just a sign that the entire tank failed, not that one valve opened. If it was a valve, you would expect a venting like we see, right?
Yeah.
So a good question. We could literally stay here and talk about Starship all day long. I know there's still super chats and stuff like that. And let me continue on. Was there anything we were supposed to show that we didn't show? I know continuing on with SpaceX test, we had that press to failure for 7.2 that we haven't talked about.
I missed that. I was driving.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that either. I think I was working while that was going on.
Well, guess what? Here at NASASpaceflight.com on our YouTube channel, you can see things that you missed because there's a video you can watch.
It's a video.
But this is 7.2. This is the 3 millimeter tank. So Starship was not 3 millimeters. Starship was 4 millimeters, right?
Yep.
The main body of the tank, and this is a thinner type of, or thinner, I guess, stainless steel. They're trying to see, can we get the same pressure ability, the same pressure handling, pressure resilience.
Has anybody figured out
Performance?
how much mass they're saving by losing that 1 millimeter of steel? Do we know?
Oh,
Oh,
that's a
geez.
really good question.
It's
I don't know, but
25%.
It's
Because
got
to
to be
go
a
from
lot.
4 to 3 is 25% less material, right?
Yeah.
So it's not the entire Starship. You still have things that are like the landing legs, the
course.
Raptors, the fins and stuff like that, the flaps and stuff. But somewhere it's 25% just size to size, right?
Right.
And I guess the trick is, do you then have to go into Starship and add back some additional bracing because not as much force can be handled by the skin of the tank itself? SpaceX clearly done the math on that, but I haven't
Or
heard about.
maybe their welding is just that good.
Yeah.
I was listening to an audiobook on my drive about Titan 2.
Yep.
And similar kind of thing where I think they had to add in like additional reinforcements due to the thinness of the tank. I'm butchering this now, but yeah, it could be the case where that might be a thing they have to do. Also, fun fact: Titan 2 used autogenous pressurization. I did not know that.
There you go.
In my head, autogenous pressurization is like some kind of crazy
Newfangled.
wackadoo. Yeah, no, Titan 2 been doing it for like 40 years back in the Cold War. No big deal.
I think I fast forward to the right part of the video here where they actually have the pressure failure. Yeah, it's coming up. Okay, it's coming up. So this was another tank that they tested. This is after SN9 flew because you can see there's no SN9 on the pad right there.
Right.
Pad B is clear. And that was the failure of the tank. And it wasn't a big catastrophic failure. It wasn't like the entire top popped off like we've seen in the past. This actually just looked like a weld on one side cracked a little bit and then sprung a leak. And it's just venting out one side there.
Yeah, look
But
at it go.
that is definitely good news for SpaceX. Instead of this entire thing just completely failing,
Yeah.
it looks like they got some good data from it,
Because
right?
in the past, like when starships have gone pop, it's like they bust an entire seam all the way around. But
The
that
whole top comes off and they
the rest of
collapse.
it was able to hold on. That's actually pretty good. And this is past operational pressure here, right? Like
They don't
the-
tell us exactly what the pressure is, but they do, like they're intentionally trying to pop the thing. They're
Right.
testing it to failure.
right. This is one of the, as far as we know, this was one of those tests to failures, or do we know?
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah. It
Okay.
looked like it turned out pretty well.
Oh
so.
yeah, that looks great then. Because it
Yeah, I think
Yep.
I think in the past we've seen those failures on the test tanks happen like at the bulkhead weld, and I'm wondering if that forward bulkhead, because it doesn't get welded right to the top of the ring stack, right? The bulkhead kind of fits inside the cylinder a little bit and then gets welded. So I'm wondering if that is at the point where two steel rings are joined, or if that is the point where the bulkhead is welded to the steel rings. I'm
Yeah,
really
like-
curious what exact weld failed there.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that, Jack, where you have the actual bulkhead is almost in the middle of a steel sheet there, as opposed to
Yep.
it being welded directly onto the top of that. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yep, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so that's why sometimes it looks like a Starship or a test tank will have like what looks like a half height ring. It's not a half height ring. It's a bulkhead weld that is halfway, or
Halfway
in
up
in the middle of one of those rings. So
yeah.
I'm really curious where that failure occurred and what pressure it reached and what Starship will be the first Starship with 3 millimeter tanks. I know we get a lot of questions about, do you think SN15 will be 3 millimeter? I think it'll probably be further out from that, but we just don't know yet. But
Yeah.
another step in this progression, right? I mean, we've seen the SN2 test tank, we've seen the SN 7.1 test tank, 7.0, and now we have 7.2. So lots of test tanks have been made. I'm sure we'll see more in the future, and it's just one of those things where hopefully they got the data they wanted out of it, and it was good data, and they can move on with their Starship production assembly line. Look at
Yeah.
that.
I popped over this real quick, Jack, because this was a picture that you took of the aftermath. I'm not even sure I
people-
know what we're looking at.
You'd be
Yeah, I was-
surprised. A lot of people ask me, it happened with SN8 and with SN9, like, hey, did you find any pieces? Did you find any pieces? And I'm like, I'm not looking. To be 100% honest, I'm just not looking for pieces. I'm
Yeah.
attempting to photograph the mangled wreckage of this thing we just saw fly in a brief window of lighting and crews being out there and working on, like, I'm just not looking for pieces, is not even crossed my mind. But yeah, it's so beautiful to see these. That's the methane header tank right there, and I think the
Yep.
downcomer. Um, just
Yeah.
and look, one thing I'm glad you're showing this one. Look at how the stainless steel is
Is
discolored from
Yeah.
heat.
Yeah.
When
It's
we
like a
start seeing
rainbow.
when we start seeing starships come back from orbital velocity and go through significant heating, I'm really curious to see what kind of patina the skin
Oh,
gets, and if it'll look something like this. Oh boy, that's gonna look even cooler than a sooty Falcon 9 booster. That's just gonna look
yeah.
metal. For
yeah.
I know it's metal, huh? But no, it's
Literally.
yeah, like metal. Like it's gonna look awesome.
Because they're not going to stay shiny. You get the
No.
heating in there, and the heating actually puts this permanent It's like that sweet Type R exhaust on your Civic or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Where the rim of it has that titanium. You know what I mean? Yeah, you pay extra for that.
The exhaust tip, right?
Yeah, exactly the
Just the
exhaust
tip.
tip, just the tip. Um,
I ain't got the money for the whole muffler, okay?
but when you see these things start to be reused, we'll get something that's actually coming through. Of course, this heating or this discoloration not caused by atmospheric reentry or plasma or anything like that. It's probably caused by the thing exploding when it hit the ground.
Yeah.
But it'll be very interesting to see if we get some of this discoloration on the exposed parts of stainless steel. Like the back of it may get this purplish hue after it returns from orbit. That's going to be really cool
Man,
to
that's
see,
gonna
Jack.
be so cool.
Yep, I'm excited for that. That's one of those things where it's like a item on my checklist of like, oh, I can't wait for that one. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm looking through the link document over here and seeing if is there anything that you had there, Jack, that I haven't shown yet?
I just threw a bunch of tweets from my time there since I took
Yeah.
so many photos, but I think we've covered all the good stuff.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to go back to a shot of the nose flying off and spreading locks everywhere, I'll talk about how the front fell off, and I have to stress that's not normal.
It's not normal.
It's been towed outside the environment.
It was towed outside the environment, as far as I know. It sprayed itself. It removed itself from the environment and moved into another environment.
Yes. Thank you.
It's not in the environment.
So
Okay.
what went wrong? Well, the front fell off.
The front fell off.
There's
Well, they normally don't
nothing
do
out
that.
there. There's nothing out there but water and grass and some guy in a pickup truck.
And a bunch of stainless steel and some locks.
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm gonna grab a couple of super chats here really quickly. Nick Davey, thank you so much for the pounds. We appreciate the support. A couple from Andre, actually, a couple coming in through. Wow, actually, quite a few from Andre. One said, "Open it." We'll open it at the end of the show. Andre, he said 2 of the packages are for me. Another 50, and then saying, "DM me your address, Steve. I'll get some breaded books for you."
Sure. Breaded books. I'll tell you. Was he like deep fry them? Is that?
No.
That's got to be a typo. I was trying
Yeah,
to
I'm
figure
sure.
that out myself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, Andre,
All right.
we appreciate. And there's another one in here that says shuttle books. Oh, I just had to read the next super chat. Shuttle books, not breaded books.
Okay.
How did autocorrect change shuttle to breaded?
I don't know, but let's just accept it.
I think that my phone would actually do that.
Now I want to test
Anyways.
it, but yeah.
I don't know how to DM you. I guess just connect with me on
Discord.
Twitter.
Oh, jeez. There's another one from Andre here that says Steven, not Steve, but it is Steve, right?
Yeah, Steven. It doesn't matter. My mom
It
calls
doesn't
me
matter.
Steven. We talked about that before we started. Like, am I in trouble? Someone called me Steven. Am I in trouble?
Yeah, you gotta watch out for the full name saying, because that's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
There's so many questions about Starship in here. Like, why doesn't SpaceX do a sea landing for SN10 when they stand a better chance of getting it back for inspection? Like a soft landing at sea. Have we talked about that? Do we think
Oh.
SpaceX will ever do like a Starship or a booster soft landing in the water like they did for some Falcons?
Maybe a booster, but they're so close to nailing the land landing with Starship. I don't see the need for that, unless maybe it's coming back from an orbital velocity, like real hot, and they're like, all right, well, we're gonna. I mean, similar to like Falcon 9, like you said it does. But I think right now, at least where we are with the medium altitude flight tests, that's not necessary. But maybe with a booster, maybe with higher altitude Starships, who knows? I mean, they have enough hardware where they can sacrifice some of it, right?
I think with Falcon 9, the reason they did that is because they really didn't have another option. They didn't have a drone ship yet. The Cape was not going to let them attempt a land landing at that point. So it was like, well, let's get some initial data. But now that they've got 70 something landings with Falcon 9 that they have data, and they also have their own private test facility out in Boca Chica.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever see them intentionally go for just a soft water landing.
Huh. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Definitely, it's not the sort of thing where, we know Falcon 9, its initial trajectory is bringing it down just off the coast. Then it's the landing burn that sort of deflects it over onto the landing pad, and then you land,
Mhm.
right? We know from what we've seen of the Starship that last minute flip and land maneuver, or it's the other way, I guess, is flip and land maneuver. That happens so low, there's no way that you could divert Starship over the water from there. So just out of the
No.
gate, they're not doing that 2 kilometers up, and they have time to either target the water or target the land. It's like you're already
True.
right above the landing pad when you do that.
Right.
Now, if they test other things, like if they get into boosters or something like that, maybe they will try a soft water landing like we saw. Of course, there's environmental concerns for that. Then you have to go out there and salvage it and bring it back in. And how do you inspect it, et cetera, et cetera. So it'll be interesting to see if they ever do something like that.
Yeah.
And there's so many questions. Just we could spend the entire show only talking about SN9, absolutely positively. I know that Starship is not controlled. It's not like somebody with a joystick there. Name's Dave. Is there somebody driving it with a joystick? It's a computer on board, and they program it how to do the flight and that sort of stuff. But we
Dave.
need to hop into another topic here because we haven't talked at all about St. Jude or the Inspiration4 mission.
Yeah.
So who
This
wants
is
to
so
hop in
cool.
on that?
I mean, I don't really know what I would hop in and say other than I'm floored by this. I think it's a really cool thing. I think it's awesome to see what Dragon is going to start enabling in terms of commercial spaceflight for non-NASA astronauts. And if you don't know what St. Jude is, it's a children's hospital that does not charge and is fully funded by donations, and they specialize in researching rare cancers, and it's the most noble of causes. I mean, this is like a triple win because you're getting money for kids, and you're getting people excited in space flight, and you're giving average people the ability to have a real chance at actually getting to go into space. So
So-
they're just go for it.
Well, I was going to say, let's step back for a second because we're talking about St. Jude and stuff, but Inspiration4 itself, like what's the story behind Inspiration4? What is it? I think some people might not even know.
Yeah, it's a mission that's started by Jarek Isaacman. He's a billionaire entrepreneur. Billionaire? Yeah. Billion with a B, right?
Yeah, I think with
And
a
he decided he wanted to start this mission and invite some people to come along with him. He's fronting $100 million to go to St. Jude, and he's inviting others to donate. And with your donation comes entries into a drawing where you could get selected to go along with him. Now, I think it's only one of those seats is actually going to be like picked out of the drawing, right? There's going to be
Yes.
one person who
that's smaller.
there's going to be one entrepreneur that is invited to go along, and then there's one person I think has already been decided. It's a frontline worker who works with St. Jude and has been invited to go along. So basically, if you want to, if you like this mission and you believe in it, and hey, maybe you want a chance to go to space, you can donate, and you'll get a certain amount of. I think it's like $15 gets you, I don't know, 100 entries or something like that. It's one of those kinds of deals, and maybe you'll be drawn out of the hat. Of course, you do have to pass certain physical requirements, but yeah, and I think if you don't, you can pass it on to somebody else that you know, right?
Oh, that's
I
cool.
I think so. I'm not exactly sure on the rules for it there. But long story short, there is a billionaire who said, "I'm going to buy a flight on a Dragon." And instead of having NASA astronauts and stuff like that on the flight, he said, "I'm going to take regular people along with me." And so that is the Inspiration4 mission. They're billing it as the first all civilian. What was on the front page of the website? The first all civilian flight mission to space, right? And then there's a couple different ways that you might be able to be one of those civilians. One of them, they just chose somebody from St. Jude because they're doing this to help raise funds for St. Jude Children's Hospital. That one person is like a frontline worker or something. I think they've already picked that person is correct.
Right.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then there's a way that you could secure your seat by donating towards St. Jude or using this e-commerce platform that he's got, the Shift4 shop or whatever. There's a couple different ways that you might be able to get into it, but it was it's supposed to be the first all civilian mission to space. And it's supposed to be, did they say it's supposed to be this year?
Yes, yeah, it's basically taken the place of Axiom. Like I think I'm not sure. Maybe Axiom or not? Is it? No, not Axiom. What am I talking about? It's the mission that is it's going to be commanded.
Adventures.
Space Adventures, yeah, was going to go in the fall of this year, but now they're pushed back. But now this one, Inspiration4, is going to go in October, right? Or
Gotcha.
supposedly October in the
Or
fall.
something like no earlier than, et cetera, et
Right,
cetera,
right.
right? But if it goes, it's sort of a big deal because it's not NASA flying these people up there. It's not a movie crew or something like that. It's raising money for St. Jude's, but it's also getting regular people into space,
Right,
right? I
yeah,
say
because
regular
with
people.
the one for Space Adventures, the commander is like, I don't think he still works for NASA, but he was once a NASA astronaut. And this one, nobody on board is military or NASA or anything. It's
Yeah.
I find that really especially interesting because so Jared Isaacman has two companies, right? One is that Shift4 payment company, and the other is he founded a company called Draken International. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but it is a basically they go to other countries and buy their surplus fighter jets and then import them back to the US and then fly those fighter jets as adversaries for training for our pilots. So
Whoa.
Interesting.
it's really interesting to me that someone like him with so much flight experience in all manner of aircraft, the three seats that he is there that he's picked, none of those, it's not like it's himself and a test pilot and two people. No. It's him. He
Yeah.
is the test pilot slash commander slash whatever. He is the aviation experience. And then the other three seats are civilian, like just pure normal people, well, not normal. I mean, obviously they're going to be outstanding individuals, but yeah, I found that interesting that you might, knowing his background with Draken, you might have expected another one of those seats to go to a pilot or something along those lines. But
Yeah.
I thought it was really really cool the way that the three seats besides his own were sort of divvied up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good deal. And I think there is one sort of deal about it. A lot of things in the news about the announcement when it came out is that it's only open to, what was it, American persons or United States person. There's some differential between a U.S. citizen and then an American person or something. Like, what do we know exactly what that was? Because it was like, oh, I live in the UK, I'm not eligible to go.
I
So how is this
don't.
for everybody if you have to live in the United States? Did I get that incorrect or what? It's like in the terms of service or something.
That's right, but I'm not sure I know, Jack. If you know, then fire away. But
Doesn't ring a bell.
I think I saw some speculation, like maybe if it's someone outside of the U.S., it'd take them too long to get them cleared to go on a flight like this for it
Yeah.
to be able to fly by fall. I don't know.
Yeah, Danny saying citizen or green card partially to make licensing easier. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting though. Like if you're buying a commercial flight to space, what do you go like through space TSA before you're allowed to board the rocket? No, I'm serious about it. Like if you've
Empty
bought
your
this
pockets
seat,
and take off your shoes, please.
yeah, exactly. Like you have to go through the metal detector on the way to the rocket. I don't understand. Is there training of like secret information that we can't share with people who aren't U.S. citizens, or I don't understand why it couldn't be open the entire
I think
world.
I hate to say it. I hate this word. I hate the fact that it's used as a cudgel in the space industry to just be like, well, you can't do it because of ITAR. And a lot of times people say the word ITAR and don't know what they're talking about. It's like a boogeyman. ITAR,
Mhm.
ooh, ITAR, ooh.
He's gonna get you.
Yeah. But I do in this case think it's probably ITAR.
That's again what I don't understand. Like riding the dragon doesn't mean you know how to engineer a dragon or
Right.
build a dragon or
you
guide a
may
dragon
never-
to a landing in another country. Like,
Yeah. You may never even get a really close up look at the underside of the Falcon 9 or
Yeah.
get a close up look of the Merlins or yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you're going to be trained in maybe some operations on the touch screens there, which we see on the live streams when we get crew going to
Mhm.
space, and you're going to
And
have like all
I've
the
done the docking
emergency and
simulation on my phone.
you've done the docking simulation on your phone. I mean,
Come on.
it's that was sort of weird to me that how is that? And it's paperwork. We need to get with the times or whatever. But how is it that this couldn't be open to the entire world? Like, we're buying these commercial flights. It seems like that's something that needs to be figured out before space is truly for everyone. You know
I
what I
bet
mean?
it will. I bet it will.
Yeah.
I think we'll get past this one, and a few years from now, this will. Oh yeah, remember that one where only Americans were allowed? I think
Yeah. Yeah.
this will be like a thing of the past at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just I thought that was interesting when I saw that you couldn't be international or anything like that. So,
Yeah, I mean,
but
imagine it being like a Boeing airliner, and it's like, sorry, you got to be a U.S. citizen or person to get on the
yeah,
777.
how would that
It's
work
like,
out?
yeah, it just wouldn't. It's not.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not. Yeah. So,
I
but I'm sure
think,
this is a blip in time where this is how it is right now.
Yeah.
and also I think that in the future, this type of mission might become the norm because flying on a Falcon 9 and a Dragon is not cheap. And I'd say that a lot of the missions are going to be this kind of charity or raffle type thing. I don't think it'll just be rich people paying for a ticket and then they go for a ride. I think it's going to be a lot of this kind of thing.
Yeah. What if that's
Agree.
like, that you got the North Carolina education lottery here, right? You go get
Yeah.
your lottery tickets. And what if one of the new lottery tickets is get a ride to space instead
Dude.
of $50 million or whatever you can win in the
I would-
Powerball or whatever?
I would actually play that lottery. Yeah.
Yeah, I
play
would
that
start
lottery?
playing lottery. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Don't
the
gamble,
North
kid.
Carolina space education lottery. Like,
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I am excited to see more and more people travel into space that aren't,
yeah.
oh, I'm an astronaut, I'm super professional, and this is everything I do is super polished and considered, and everything is run through a PR machine. It's like, no, let's get some normal people into space and have them react and be like, that was so amazing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's what
Dude,
people
no
connect
way.
to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let me see here. I mean, I know we always run out of time because we just talk about all sorts of stuff here. I've put up this really insanely good quality, fantastic lighting view
Yes.
of resilience up on the space station. But let me see. We mentioned at the very beginning, but we haven't even done anything with the fact that it's the Falcon Heavy demo anniversary
Right.
today. Good grief.
Right.
I
Let's
mean,
talk
I
about
can-
that real quick. This is Brady
Yep.
here. Some tweets
Brady
from
with
Brady,
his
but jump. Steve,
insane
did you
photos.
photograph this? Or?
Incredible. Yeah, just incredible.
Were you
God.
there for Falcon demo or Falcon Heavy demo? Steve?
I was not media at all. I was standing on the beach at Cherrydown Park, and my liftoff shots, my launch shots were, but my landing shot was good. I
Nice.
like a lot of people in the foreground and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've just
I was
literally
at
got the
Playa
browser
Linda
window going
for
here.
it, and it was not like you said. Like my liftoff shots from Playa Linda were not great, and I also
Yeah.
I was not media. Although I had shot launches as media at that point,
Uh-huh.
I was not media for Falcon Heavy demo, and I distinctly remember thinking like, never again. Never, never again will I shoot a launch as a normal person without being media, because it's
Right.
the access that you're granted and afforded is really
Yes,
amazing when you're
yeah,
media, and you can see
it's
in the
true.
pictures that Brady shot. They're just, I mean, to this day, I think Brady said something in his tweet or whatever where it's like these are some of his favorite shots. Like
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
it
Like,
makes sense. They're absolutely outrageously good shots.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
props to Brady.
Absolutely. And
that,
there's so much we
his-
could cover with this.
His engine shot of like looking from the backside of the transporter erector. Scroll back one
That
more.
one?
That one. That's one
That
of my
one.
favorite rocket shots of all time, right there.
That's insane.
It's awesome.
Yep. It's just so good. And
And you'll never
It's-
get one like that. You'll never see another
Nope.
Falcon Heavy with white legs.
nope, you're right. And
Yeah.
it's wild to me that it feels like a decade ago,
Mhm.
and yet it was only 3 years. 3
Yeah.
years. 3.
It was
That's
it was one of the reasons that I had the fire under my butt to get moved here, because I had only moved here a year prior to this, and I was like, I gotta get down there before Falcon Heavy. Because back then it was just like, Falcon Heavy's coming, we don't know when. Like, well, I got to get there before Falcon Heavy launches,
Yeah.
Nice.
and I did.
Yeah. It's just it's one of the first live streams that I did using the Solo, which we use all over the place now. And I had a loaner kit from Gunrun, who's one of the guys who like started Twitch, right? And he shipped me a kit that he had put together. He's like, "Here, try to live stream with this," and we put that thing together and streamed that, and it was just straight up crazy. Watching what happened, and I'm sitting there operating the little live stream camera, like, "Oh my god, it's working, it's working." That was amazing for me because it was one of the first. It was such a massive event, and it was one of the first streams we were able to share like that. It made like the Twitch year in review thing is like a new type of IRL stream. Look, this guy streamed a rocket launch. Like, what?
Right.
Is that weird now? Like now we do that all the time. But what a crazy thing to experience. And I don't know if anybody's ever seen some of my Falcon Heavy videos on my YouTube channel, but my buddy EJ there screaming in the background, like, yeah, go, baby. Like he's screaming in the back of this video. We think we make a lot of noise during our videos now, and we're like, yeah, Chris is screaming. Yeah, no, my buddy EJ can outscream anybody, I think.
That one, I mean, that launch was particularly cathartic too, because we had been waiting for Falcon Heavy for years and years and years. And
Yep.
it
It's
seemed
like
like it
2015 it was supposed to be.
yeah, and it seemed like it wasn't going to go
Mhm.
on the day. I mean, they kept delaying and having issues and whatnot,
Yep.
and they finally pushed to like 5 minutes left in the window, and sure enough, with like no time to spare whatsoever, they
Yeah.
lit the engines and launched. And I think literally everybody that was watching just sort of lost their minds
Yeah.
for a period of time. I mean, how could you not? And I've told this story before, but I was told that it wasn't going to roll. I was 100% under the nice. Yeah. Go to Brady's Twitter and
Hadn't done
like
that yet.
and retweet that because that's some absolutely killer shots from Brady.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was under the impression it was not going to roll, and so it lifts off and it starts rolling, and there was a good chunk of time there, maybe 5-10 seconds, felt like an eternity, where I was just like, oh geez, here we go. Like,
Because you could
put on-
really see it because it's 3 sticks in a row. So when it,
Yep.
normally a rocket rolls and it's like, okay, it rolls. But when this rolls, it looked like it was rolling,
Yeah, you
Yeah,
could really
yep.
tell.
Yeah, I deliberately chose where I shot from in order to get the 3 sticks rather than, side. Because if you get it side on, it just looks like a single stick. There's nothing really
Mhm.
special about that.
Right.
So,
Yep.
and so I deliberately chose the spot that I was at, and then sure enough, it gets off the pad and starts rolling, and I was like, oh, Albie.
well, I'll be. Look at that.
Hey,
Y'all,
Doss,
it's
I put my landing photo in there. You can see all
Oh,
the
yeah.
people at the. I think I put it in the wrong spot, but it's down underneath there.
Steve said, yeah, I got it.
Yeah,
I
you
can get
you
that
can
right
see
now.
all the people on the beach and all the people at Jetty Park.
Oh,
on the,
yeah.
on the
Oh,
pier and stuff.
that's a cool shot. That's iconic. Way to
Thank
I
you.
go.
love these sorts of shots. Like
Yeah.
the people, everybody up there watching.
Hmm. Yeah, it was so electric out there on the beach.
Just
People-
imagine 20 years from now when you're looking at this photo and everything everyone is wearing looks as hilarious to you as like stuff from the 80s does now. You know what I mean? Like, man, what were we thinking?
Yeah.
You're gonna have your like self-inflating Air Nikes or whatever, right?
Right. Yeah. Wait,
Anyways,
wasn't
yeah,
that supposed to already happen? That was like 2015. Where's my
it was supposed to
self-inflating
be a
Nike?
few years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is another thing. You'll see it all over social media and stuff like that today. The 3-year anniversary of the demo launch of Falcon Heavy. The first time those 2 boosters did their aerial dance and came back down and landed right next to each other was an abs. It's one of those you got to suspend your disbelief. Like, what? This is CGI. This is some sort of sci-fi movie. I can see why people don't believe this is real because it doesn't freaking look real right now.
Right,
What's even
yeah.
happening? So we are coming up on 429. We've made it almost 430. It just switched over. So let me see if I missed any big things over here.
Starlink
Sergio
launched.
Martinez. Sorry.
Starlink launched. It did its thing. It was good.
Starlink launched. It did
Yeah,
a thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
They
I
did
can
a
I can
thing.
speed run that. Look, Steve takes pictures of Starlink launches. Here's one of them. That's actually really nice. I don't mean to speed through it. Like
Thank you.
Nice.
that's like facing north with the North Star in there and the
Yep,
streak
yeah.
shot going over that.
I like doing the star trails with the streak shots.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think it adds a
thing.
lot. I think it adds
In
a
fact,
lot.
I have to give credit where it's due. The first person, I'm sure other people have done it, but the first person I ever saw do that with the star trails with the streak was Michael Seeley. And
Yeah.
I told him on his Instagram post, I was like, forgive me, I'm going to try this. And now I've done it a handful of times. And then also lighting the foreground, any photographers out there that like to do streak shots, the
Yeah.
foreground was lit up prior to launch. Okay, and prior to even starting to shoot for the star trails, I have a light. In fact, it's the one that's lighting me now. I had it with me, and I just did kind of a 6-second exposure or something, just kind of illuminated that grass right there,
Yeah.
and then saved that shot for later to layer
To
on. And if you know
stack
how to
on top of it.
layer star trails and streak shots, then you know how to layer something like that. It's just kind of a, I don't know, kind of adds something to the foreground. I really like that.
Yeah.
It's a nice little extra Steve touch, little painting with light there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. It's like plants in the way. I like it. There was another.
John Krause would be proud.
Oh, yeah.
Krause would be proud with the plants in the way. This is the liftoff shot of that Starlink launch, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
it
and
is.
there's a couple different things from that. We covered this one live, and
And then
this was
Julia.
supposed
Oh,
to
I
be
love her shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
all the way
killer.
downrange. Like you can see the second stage continue on after
Yep.
the main engine cutoff there. So
Yeah, and she was texting with me. She's like, I think I'm just not going to worry about doing the streak shot because the moon's out and it's going to
No.
wash it all out and stuff. And then right after launch, I see this. I'm like, that's what I thought.
Oh, then what
can't
was this?
resist.
Was Nate and Chris on this one? This was Nate and Chris with the truck in the foreground. Look at this. There's like a
Nice.
wayward truck on the range.
What?
It's
Oh,
a security truck.
oh
You
yeah.
can see there's a light bar on top of it.
That person's having a good time.
Yeah, right. What a view.
Nice.
It's like, nope, I'm
Yeah.
just here securing this causeway or
You're
whatever.
like, it's like lifting off through the lightning suppression towers, and he's like, "We're secure."
Yeah.
It's like, we know it just launched. We know.
Yes.
That's great. Yeah.
Then also, what was this? There's a Sphere X launch contract that came down the pipe. I'm like speed running the news at the end of the
Vandenberg
show.
launch. Vandenberg launch. Ooh, ooh.
Yep.
Oh, is this a Vandenberg launch? It
Yes.
is.
In like
Oh,
4
20
years.
2024, Jack. Get
Oh,
comfortable.
3 years, 3.5 years.
Yes. Here's the SpaceX rocket launching and get comfortable. 2024.
Hey, I had to wait like 18 months between launches out here, so I'll take a 2024 launch. Hey, as long as we got them coming down the pipeline, that's fine.
What was this one? Is this the CLPS one? This is Firefly, right? Yeah, this is the
Firefly's
Fire. It
Oh,
says
yeah.
right on the screen, Firefly
NASA
Space.
lander.
But this was
Yep.
another thing that came up. I'm running through the rest of the things. I like the Firefly logo there on the back. Oh, ULA was out there doing stuff. They have that new the new core stage coming off the rocket ship. This is
Yep.
from Tori. Let me see. Or they're sending this to the rocket ship, I guess. Or don't they use that big ship?
Yeah,
Move
The-
these things around?
The rocket ship?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
rocket ship.
The rocket
right?
ship, yes. Yes,
Yeah.
formerly known as Delta Mariner, because I guess when it was first made, it only transported Delta because it was owned by Boeing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's on its way here. By this time next week, it will, it's going to be cutting it close. I don't know. It should be
Yeah.
here, I think, by this time next week. I checked it out before we started, and it was coming down the Mississippi just north of Memphis.
This is a
So-
photo you took. This is from the past, right? This is
Yes, yeah.
January
This is
13,
the
2020.
last time I believe this is the last time I saw rocket ship. But yeah, I love this. You had Miss Tree going out and rocket ship
Yep.
coming in, and then if you scroll down, there's one where they're just about to kiss.
Oh. The ULA and the SpaceX boats. One catches
Yeah.
fairings, the other one carries core stages.
Be friends.
Exactly. Yeah.
Be friends. Be
Do it now.
Oh no.
Yeah, I love the
Okay.
rocket ship. It's such just a big, just beefy ship,
It's a
Yeah.
chonker.
Yeah.
It's definitely a chonker.
And of course,
And what-
that's transport those stages from where they're manufactured up the river a ways, and they come all the way around the bottom of Florida, and they bring them over to the coast instead of limiting them to the size of a rail car like the shuttle SRBs or Falcon 9s are designed to go under bridges on the roads. Rocket ship just comes down the waterways and doesn't have the same sort of limitations as long as you can fit the rockets on there. I think, can't they carry 3 whole cores like for a Delta Heavy?
I was going to
is it
say,
2 or
yes, they
3?
can carry an entire Delta Heavy in that thing.
Yeah. So
It's
3 cores of a
incredible.
Delta Heavy will fit in
That's
there.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things I
Okay.
was surprised about the first time I saw it is as it passed by, I noticed on the back, the big door, it's got the big ULA symbol, and on the bottom it says Port Canaveral, Florida. So,
Really?
like,
Nice.
I guess it considers Port Canaveral as its home.
That's
Wait.
its home base.
Wait, so a lot of times you see vessels will be flagged. It's called a flag of convenience, right?
Uh-huh.
When it's like a U.S. ship or a company owned by. Oh, let me start over. It's a ship owned by a U.S. company, but it's flagged in like
In
Liberia. or
Liberia,
something.
yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if that means rocket ship is a U.S. flagged ship. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I think it would be, yeah. I
I would
mean,
think so.
it's almost like, you go through the little the yacht club or whatever, and the boats have like, Mischief on the back in like script, and then it has the name of the port where they dock or whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I don't normally I don't know that that's always, maybe that is on some of the bigger ships, like on the back of the big cruiser, the tankers and stuff that come in, they have like the name of the country or something,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
port or something.
Yeah, you'll
Anyways,
see that on a lot of the ships that come and go out
yeah,
of here. But I was
yeah.
surprised the first time I saw it. Oh, it actually says Port Canaveral there. That's neat.
That's cool.
Because
You know what I keep
bases
seeing?
out of Decatur, Alabama. That's where they start from.
Yeah. You know what I keep seeing in chat? Apparently we've done so many streams lately and no one ever sees our faces because we're just doing the Starship streams or we're doing launches, and it's like we don't use any screen real estate for our faces. It's just all rockets all the time. And people are saying they don't look anything like I thought they would look like. Is that good?
This is my face. I'm sorry.
Look at his face.
That's Jack. That's Steven. I'm Das or John, whichever one. So, yes, normally we don't put our faces on the screen. We just use the entire screen for pictures of rockets or tanks or whatever, right?
That's all right. That's what they're really here for, right?
We have faces, as it turns
Yeah.
out. All the proper equipment to talk and everything. I thought Jack was like a freshman in college, apparently, Jack.
Wow, I look great for my age.
Yeah, I know. You sound fun.
Or sound great, anyway.
Oh, they
Jeez.
thought I was.
They thought until now they've seen you. They know
Right,
they know the error of their ways.
So that's not a vote of confidence for like my looking young. It's like, oh, he sounded really immature.
I look like your butcher? What? How do I look like a butcher?
What?
I thought Jack was somebody thought Jack was a robot, apparently.
Oh, right. Well, I could see why they would think that.
And we're all wearing pants. Pants are required for NSF Live. Come on. It's a
Yeah.
professional show here. Jeez.
Can't confirm. I'm wearing pants.
Yes.
Anyways, it's 4:38 now. We're 8 minutes past what we're supposed to do, and there's still one thing that we haven't done yet, Jack.
We gotta open stuff.
Apparently,
Okay.
we were suckered into this, and we said on the next NSF Live we would open these packages, and then somebody didn't get the memo and ship Steve anything. Steve, do you have like something you could open? Just act like you're opening it so nobody knows that we left you out of this plan. Jack, what do you got there? And what's your address, please?
Oh God. Oh Jesus.
You got a couple things that were shipped to you. What is this?
Oh, this is an old one. Whoops. It's
Oh,
a package I never opened. It's
is like-
Mary and the Space Padre.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
That's
cool.
I bought that from Space Padre a while ago. That's just a cool like historical shot. I keep meaning to get that framed. Let's see what
Nice.
else we got here.
And it's got horses on there too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
Crispy,
love that shot.
Crispy would love it. All right, Das, what do you? Come on, I got like I don't even know what I'm supposed to open.
I got a
with it.
little box, but I don't even know what it is. Like
it.
I've got a little
Open it.
brown box like this that I'm supposed to open.
then-
I'll
then
open it up
here's
real quick.
Here's my corridor T-shirts. I bought those for myself.
You gotta hold up one of those. You bought a T-shirt with a spreadsheet on it.
It's a spreadshirt, Das.
It's a spreadshirt. Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, shameless merch plug here. I mean, come on though. How can you not love that? Adrian, one of our members,
Yep.
put together the spreadsheet, and we're honoring the spreadsheet with a spreadshirt. I love
Oh
this shirt.
no.
I basically demanded this shirt exist. I love this shirt. All right.
The spread shirt.
Yeah.
Look, check this out. I actually have something from the merch store. Oh no, it's not. Whoa, it's not
Uh-oh.
actually from the merch store. It's a hat that says DOS on it with the Hopper
wow.
logo.
Oh, I love
Very
it.
nice. That's like
It's-
a
it's
custom
like a-
job, looks like.
It's a custom
Winhop.
WinHop hat. So it's got the WinHop on the sides, but then it says DOS on the front instead of WinHop.
That's awesome.
You can wear that when we're on Hop Watch.
There you go. That's fantastic. People are going to wonder who I am if I have a white hat on, though. I will have to put on the... That is fantastic. Apparently that came from the merch store, but somebody made that happen special. It's like embroidered. It says NASASpaceflight on the back and everything.
Oh, that's
Fancy.
great.
Well, not very well. There you go. And Steve's over here like, that's great.
This is. I mean, it should state as we're doing this, like Andre is an absolute legend in terms of our members and our supporters. Andre is like one of the more prolific, if not the
Yeah.
most prolific, and so. Thank you to Andre for everything. I mean, he sent me a nice care package while I was in Texas. He
Oh,
sent me
cool.
if you've ever heard the kayak jokes, that's why
The
there's
kayak jokes, yeah.
because
Okay.
Andre literally sent me a kayak. So that's why I was saying
Wow.
you should definitely give him your address.
Okay. Hey, I'll do it. I will definitely do it.
All right, I got this.
Oh.
I think I got the right one open. It's supposed to be a flag of some
What
kind.
is that, Jack?
Looks like a flag.
I'm guessing it's a Jolly Roger for the.
Oh
for
no,
the, for the
a pirate
kayak.
flag?
Yeah. That's what it looks like.
Yes, it is.
Jolly Roger flag. You're gonna have to fly that next to your tripod next time you're set up for a
that's
Starship
great.
launch.
Yeah, that'll go well. That'll definitely go well. People will be like, "So, do you not like Starship?"
Say, no,
I'm a space pirate, baby. I'm a space pirate.
I'm gonna go out to salvage some parts of it. Yar, on the high seas. It's salvage rights. Like
Shiver me starships.
There you go. Okay, and then this one. Here's another thing I bought for myself, just because I have no self-control. Wind crab.
Oh,
Wind crab.
God.
Wind
you have
crab.
some
boss.
wind crab stickers.
Wind crab.
Really?
Of course. Good stuff.
Oh, jeez, it's been a long time since I had a white hat on. I'm confused.
Feels weird changing hat colors, doesn't it?
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm with you. I'm about that hat life.
Anyways, folks, we always go over time on these, especially we're having a little bit of fun here today. Hey, thanks to Mark and the folks at the merch store who got this worked out for me. The DOS edition hopper hat there. What is that, Jack?
I think Mark sent me these. It's a whole bunch of stroop waffles, which are delicious.
Stroop waffles.
If you've never had a stroop waffle,
I
they're
don't
so
know
good.
what that is.
I don't know what I did to merit being sent all this stuff, but you guys are awesome. Seriously, thank you. Thanks to everybody who watches and cares about our goofy nonsense. And yeah, you guys are all awesome.
The Stroop waffles. If you've ever flown on United, they'll slip you one of those Stroop waffles.
Yeah, don't go with the oh god, what's the oh man. Yeah, get the Stroop waffles. Don't go with the peanuts. Get the Stroop waffles.
Get the Stroop waffles.
Okay, I'm looking at Stroop waffles right now. They must be better than they look.
No, look, you're supposed to get like a hot coffee or a hot drink and put the Stroop waffle on top, so the heat from the drink like melts the caramel in the Stroop waffle, and then you're supposed to eat it like as a warm thing. But they pass them out on the planes, and you're like, what do I have that I'm supposed to put this Stroop waffle on? Like, this is ridiculous. You just eat it and it gets sticky, and now you're on the airplane with sticky hands, and that was before COVID.
Okay.
So
Biscoff, that's what it is. Don't go with the Biscoff cookie. Get the Stroop waffle.
Okay, understood.
What
get
are
the
you
Stroop
about?
waffles.
You,
Get the
you-
Biscoff.
What?
Dude, I ordered a crate of those Biscoff cookies once. Like, you could order those like by the bushel, and I had so many Biscoff cookies I got sick of them. But
I always save them for my roommate. I'm like, here you go, dude. Here's a handful of Biscoffs, and he's like, yay!
throw them at him. Anyways, we went through all the news. We talked so much about SN9, y'all. Of course, that was the big news this week, was the flight of SN9, and they're already getting ready for SN10. I know that earlier today, do we even have, something? We've been running this the entire time. We haven't even been showing this, have we? Oops, because we had the live feed from Boca Chica there prepared in the background, and we saw them putting a Raptor engine up on the bottom of SN10 there. Just right at the beginning of the show at 3 o'clock, they were raising that Raptor engine up, and it looks like it may be installed now. So we've been watching what's going on out there, but it may be sooner rather than later that we actually see another. Jack, look, that's SN11 in the high bay already.
No.
It just needs a nose cone in the high bay.
Please, no.
RIP SN5. SN5 is gone now, but
that's sad. I am genuinely sad that 5 and 6 are gone now. It really reminds me of like when you learn about some sort of experimental aircraft, and it's like no copies exist. It's like, oh well, darn it! Like, oh man, it's 5 and 6 occupied a place in Starship history, and they are going to be scrapped now. Well, 6 is already, and 5 is in the progress of being scrapped. But yeah, that kind of bummed me out a little bit. But
yep,
that's the all in the name of progress there. And I'm, oh my gosh, why are there engines on 11 already or 10 already? Why are there engines on 10 already?
Hey, they gotta fly. They're backing up, like we said. The biggest thing
for
SpaceX is they need to get those things flying.
It took me 48 hours to drive here, like total.
40, okay.
with sleep and gas stops and just like pulling over and resting for a little bit. Otherwise, I'd go insane. Like 48 hours exactly, almost on the button. So
Oh man,
if there's engines on 10 already, and
it's
they
time
do
to get in the car, Jack.
yeah, right. Ah! Ah!
I don't know what you're still doing here.
Yeah, you're late. You're late, buddy.
Yeah.
Get
You're
out of
right.
here. And you
This is the
you
thing.
say that.
There's grass
but then-
venting, Jack. You need to get down there. Look.
Oh God, grass vent is meaningless.
Have
How
a
many times
watch
do I have
on.
to say it? Anyway, I'm gonna
That's sort of the
shut
joke.
myself up with a mini stroop waffle. Thank you.
Yes, enjoy. Anyways, folks, we have well overstayed our normal show here. We're supposed to do it until it's supposed to be 3 to 4:30, and it's 4:46 now. So this is going to bring us to the end of our weekly live show. We just started to talk. We get some different people from the NASA Spaceflight crew on. We talk about all sorts of different topics, what happened this week, what's up and coming, what got announced, and that sort of thing. There's no script. We're sort of off the rails. It is very much a live show. Got a lot of good questions coming in today. Thank you all so much for putting some of those questions in there. Super chats as well. I didn't get through all of them, but I appreciate all the support. Heiko Wagner says, have a nice day. Thanks for the entertainment. Sergio Martinez Checa says, actually nothing. This is a new membership with no message there. Double Ace, Borgan Markovich, Kenny Alexander, appreciate the support across the board there. Thank you all so much for the super chats. That's one reason we can keep doing all of the different types of coverage that we do. Because of y'all's support, you keep showing up, you'll watch the ads, the daily videos, you'll buy merch from the merch store or whatever it is you do. We're able to keep all of this content coming because y'all keep showing up. So from everybody at the NASA Spaceflight team, thank you so much for letting us do that. Again, the people that we had on today for the first time over here, Steve Marr. Steve, thank you so much for making time today.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And if anybody is interested in any launch photography, I do have a website, spacecoaststeve.com.
Is the website Steve like spelled out, or is it STVE like your Twitter handle?
No, it's not like the only reason my Twitter handle is like that is because there is a gentleman that's been sitting on Space Coast Steve on Twitter since about 2014, and
Okay.
Nobody
it is a
tweets anything.
It doesn't tweet anything.
Don't you
And
hate
I've
that so much?
tried to reach
There's a
out to
website.
Twitter, and there's nothing I can do.
Yeah,
I
you
wanted-
just sort of squat on them.
Yep.
Look at
There you
those.
go.
Get over there, everybody watching. Get
Yeah.
a print from Steven. These are awesome.
I appreciate that.
So that was spacecoaststeve.com, and apparently it goes to a Smug Mug shop there, right? Steve, make
It
sure I
does
ended up on the right
exactly.
place.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a Smug Mug store,
Yeah.
disguised as not a Smug Mug store.
a domain. I typed
Yeah.
it in, and then I was going to copy it, but I just put the direct link to Smug Mug in there. But
Okay, yeah,
all
that's
sorts
fine.
of launch photography there. And on Twitter, you are actually Space Coast _STVE, right?
Yep. You
There
got
it is.
That's
Yeah,
right.
up that way, y'all. So, mods, get a link to his Twitter into chat over there if you could. Steve, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for
Pleasure
having me.
having you.
Yeah, thank you.
And of course, back from Boca Chica, we had Jack Beyer over here. Jack, thank you for stopping in today. We appreciate it.
Yep. I guess I should start packing and get ready to head back to Boca Chica.
Well, first, you're going to need to be able to afford to get out there. I hope you have a few more patrons on your Patreon link.
Yeah, sure enough. Also, prints available on my website. I've got a Patreon with downloads and stuff, all kinds of good stuff. If you want to become a patron and support me directly, you can do that. You can also support NASA Spaceflight by buying merch and liking and subscribing. And before I forget, really quick, last thing that was sent to me was these weird Paco Kita things from Andre.
What?
It's like a peanut butter bar. It's pretty good.
Okay.
All right.
Where are those? Are they like Brazilian or something?
Yeah, I assume so.
Huh. That's cool. Well, y'all, for real, there were some links to Jack's Twitter handle, the Jack Beyer on Twitter, and then also his Patreon. He does tons of photography for aircraft stuff, right, Jack? Can I just say it that way? Aircraft stuff. I mean, that is one of the photos you took right there on the opening page of your Patreon.
That's awesome.
And
That's probably the best photo I've ever taken to date. And I don't know that I'll ever take a better one, but hey, at least I got that one. That was absolutely wild day to get an F-22 down low like that. I mean, an
yeah,
F-22,
down like in a canyon or something.
yeah, it has no business being that low. It has zero whatsoever business being
You
that low operationally. I love it.
dude, you took a photo of the top of an F-22 when it was not inverted
Yes.
and you were not flying. Right?
Yeah, that is
correct.
crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's absolutely wild. So yeah, if you
Yeah.
want some behind the scenes stuff, if you want additional photos, some cool perks and stuff, hit me up on Patreon. And if you can't, if you're strapped for cash or whatever, just I appreciate you guys following along with everything that we all do.
Yeah, absolutely. And then over here, y'all, I'm apparently DOS. It says on my hat right there. I'm John Galloway with NASASpaceflight here, one of the hosts that keeps the lights blinking in the background here and clicks on things for live streams and stuff like that. You've probably heard my voice quite a bit during all the Starship stuff, but this is what I look like. I mean, hey, how's it going? This is a green screen. I'm not actually a Johnson, as you may have guessed. But I'm K Space Academy on Twitter, and I also stream over on Twitch. Hey, shout out to everybody over on Twitch. I'm going to say, what's up, nerds, over on Twitch. Like that. I appreciate y'all hanging out and supporting what I do as well. But hey, massive thanks also to all of our members. The list keeps getting longer and longer. And that was a picture of Jack really quickly, but then the membership thing came up. Okay. Good times. Gonna have to check that scene out, but whatever. Here is the list of all the people in the top 2 levels of our membership program, the launch directors and the flight engineers. They barely fit on the screen now. When we first did NASA Spaceflight Live, I would actually read the names, and it's just not happening anymore. But across the board, thank you all so much for all the support that allows us to continue doing all the different things that we do. The rocket launch coverage, the Starship things from Boca Chica. Oh, we saw the rigs come in whenever Phobos came back in, but we're able to do all this because of all the support for everybody that keeps showing up. But
yeah, did I mention I was in Boca for 27 days?
I heard
and he's about to go back.
The lady at the front desk told you so, didn't she?
Yeah, just to point that out, and all of the support from our members and all the super chats, and even just people that watch the ads or hit the like button or hit subscribe. We could not do this without your guys' support. And yeah, as much as I like to ham it up and be like, oh, I've spent so much time there, now I gotta go back. I am so honored. I'm so thankful that we get to do what we do because of the support from everybody. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Please don't ever take my hamming it up as true lamenting. I am having a blast, and I am just so appreciative that we are able to bring this coverage around the world.
Yep.
Thanks to everybody's support.
Absolutely. Breaking out of the college freshman shell there, Jack. Well done. Anyways, folks, thank you again for watching. We do this just about every week unless there's another big event that conflicts with it. It's NASA Spaceflight Live, our live Q&A show, sort of just hanging out and having fun. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Thanks, Jack and Steve, for joining me here as well. But we will see you next time. Be looking for us this coming week. If there's a launch, if they ever get another Starlink launch going or anything like that. Booster coming into the port tomorrow, I guess. That'll be over on FleetCam.
I forgot to bring that up, yeah.
Yeah. So we will be covering all those things right here on the channel. If you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe, ring the bell, etc., whatever people do. But for now, we're going to go ahead and close down NASA Spaceflight Live, and we will see you nerds later.
Chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll, Atlantic. Flight downside of speed off. Off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.